Going. So what we all do, don't we, is we go out, and when we start our property journey or at any time, we tend to go out and find the properties first. So we jump on Rightmove, don't we? So if we look at different ways that, thanks Tom, thanks Kathy, I really appreciate that. I'm feeling a bit blind as I'm doing this on my own today. Thank you. So the way to find property. So most of us look at, let's be fair, what do? We look at Rightmove. So I'm just writing Rightmove, Zoopla. We do networking. And of course, we go to agents. So those of you who can't see it, it's quite fortunate because my writing is fairly average here. So we do those, don't we? And that's what everyone does. So let's be fair, we are fishing in the pond where everyone is fishing, aren't we? Yeah. So that is what I'm talking about today, is how can we look at things in a different way, where we fish outside of the pond, where we fish where less people are. It might not be where no one else is fishing, but just remember, each of us in property has our own unique area, don't we? So generally, if I'm in, let's say, Kent, I might be in a town in Kent where I'm specifically doing, an apart hotel. Now, in my particular area, I don't think there's really anyone else doing that specific thing. So if I'm therefore looking for more apart hotels or to do it more, I literally could be fishing in a pond where not many or no one else is fishing. So it's quite an interesting one. So what other ways can we go about finding property where other people aren't? So there's just really kind of obvious ones, and this is not exhaustive. So what I always recommend for people is to go off and do this, not on your own, do it with 2 or 3 other people, because then it creates like a mastermind. And I am such a massive, huge fan of masterminding. I mastermind numerous times a week because one head plus another head does not equal 2 heads. It literally equals about 6 or 7. The results that you get when you talk to a friend, let's say we talk through a problem, isn't it? And suddenly you come up with all these amazing ideas, and as long as we're open, so do go away and sort of mastermind this. But what else have we got? So we've got kind of letters, leaflets, you can even just knock on doors. There's so many things. Lots of people use tech now, so you could use Nimbus Maps. You've got property data. Really enjoy that one. Also property filter, I absolutely love this one, and I will put in a little link to that one. I've got an affiliate link, and again, you get 15 days free, but I think it's blimmin' amazing. And property filter, you also get 15 days free. So what we're doing here is we're starting to look at places where perhaps less people are looking. Oh, there's also fantastic books. So I've got my VA to get me a load of links for you. This is also a great book by Mark Anson. I don't know if anyone else has read this. It is called Dominate Your Ground. It is a really fantastic book, and it basically covers off just lots of different ways that you can, so now I've lost where I am. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so lots of different ways that you can go and find property that isn't on Zoopla, that isn't on Rightmove, that isn't in all of, isn't with the agents. Now, I'm not dismissing any of those things. Absolutely, we should still be keeping an eye out and still be utilizing those, but inherently just remembering that absolutely everyone else is also looking at that. And especially, let's be fair, guys, that 3-bed terraced house, I mean, everyone is looking at that 3-bed terraced house, and they all want it to be BMV, they all want it to be a bit smelly, and they all want, and if you're working with investors, they're pretty much all wanting to do the same thing. And sometimes that means that the person with just the most money wins out, and that's not really where we want to be. So where we're at here is, I tend to say that you want to start off with about 5 different ways of finding property. Now, obviously, you've got 1 Rightmove, 2 Zoopla, 3 networking, 4 agents, and then think in that lower half where you've got all these different ideas of what you can do. Think about, well, what can it be that we might be able to you know, look at. So which one? So for me, I absolutely love letters. I've tried a lot of the other things. Leaflets just don't sit well with me. It takes me so long to create a leaflet, and then I get all a bit overwhelmed with who to sell it to and how to exactly get it into flats and who to, oh, it's all too overwhelming for me. I've done it. I don't really like it. But I also love using Property Filter. So what that does, that looks at, it looks at motivated sellers. So inherently, one of the ones I was looking at last night and one of the ones that I've created a letter for is really interesting. So this person put a property on the market in, when would it have been? May of last year. For £120,000. Think it's a one bed, £120,000. And then they basically sold it, I think, around July time, let's say July, August. So really at the height of the market. And then it fell through and then it came off the market. Okay. But normally when you're looking in Rightmove, you would have just presumed that sold. And by the way, they bought this property in 2017 for 90,000. It's come back on the market early this year, early 2023, at something crazy like, I can't remember, like 70, 80,000. And it's now currently at 65,000 on a modern auction. So these guys have got some major issues, but all we could see was that actually it came back on the market in February. So it's been on the market for a few months. But I know with all this history that I've taken from Property Filter, I know that they're a highly motivated seller. They have literally been trying to sell now for, you know, a year and a half. They're having a shocker. They paid 90 grand in 2017. They had it up for 120, thought they could sell it. Now the property market is fluctuating. We've got interest rates changing. We've got all these things happening. And, you know, now they've literally taken the only route that obviously they feel able to is pretty much selling it for half of what they thought they'd sold it for last year. And, you know, 25 grand below what they paid for it, you know, 5-6 years ago. So yeah, so they seem to be potentially motivated. So therefore I've, you know, creating a letter to send directly to them to say, look, I might be able to help you out. I might be able to give you a result quickly, because inherently what the problem is the uncertainty, isn't it? So if we can give certainty in uncertain times, people will be interested. Now, will every letter that I send out give me a result? Of course not. Absolutely not. And if we think that, guys, then we're absolutely, you know, barking up the wrong tree. These are all numbers games. There's another thing that I say to people is, and this is so good for me, by the way, saying these things is so cathartic for myself as well. Inherently, what we do is we tend to measure ourselves on results. Okay, so it's like, oh, I bought this, or I've done that, or that deal's gone over the line. You know, I've got a massive booking, you know, so I have got a massive booking in at the moment. So that's a result. And it's like, woo, woo, woo. But what we forget is all those little activities that took us to get to these results. And it's a bit like, you know, taking 25 years to become an overnight success. We have to measure ourselves on the activities, not on the results. So if we measure ourselves on sending out, let's say, 5 letters a week to highly motivated people, do we feel that within a couple of months, we might start to get some traction? If you constantly, you know, had a way of sending out leaflets or doing various other things that other people are not doing, because let's be fair, most people just go on Rightmove, Zoopla. They don't necessarily know what they're looking for. They analyze here, there, and everywhere. They might have multiple areas and nothing necessarily comes over. So the winners are the ones who measure their activities. And on top of that, especially with these kind of things, is they then follow up. So who of us, and I'm raising my hand here, who of us have contacted somebody and they've got back to you and then you haven't followed up? You know, I've done this. You know, you might have done it with investors. You might have done it with agents. You might have done it with here, there, and everywhere. And what it is us trying to move forward. How can we move forward in making that work for us? And a lot of it is, it's actually a mindset thing, and it is, you know, an organization thing. And I found that since I've been working on my mindset, and listening to things like Earl Nightingale's narration of Think and Grow Rich. You can listen to it in 40 minutes. He constantly reminds us, what can you do better? What can you do to get yourself going forward? And I'm listening to that every single day to help me go forward. Now, am I perfect? Oh my gosh, sadly, I'm so not perfect in any way, shape, or form. I still do so many things wrong. But the fact that you're constantly looking and working at yourself and working out what it is I can do to change, to move forward. So anyway.